All right, we are live on YouTube. Okay, I now call the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. A few administrative notes about Zoom before we get started. Today's meeting is being broadcast live to YouTube. We have closed captioning available for each user, and you can access that by clicking the button in the toolbar below. Please submit any questions via the Q&A functionality, also located on the toolbar below. If you're calling in rather than participating via the web, you can raise your hand by dialing *9 and unmute yourself by dialing *6. And we'll be monitoring and answering questions throughout the meeting. This meeting was noticed to the community via listserv, social media, the website, and our e-calendar. I will now conduct the roll for the TPS committee. And let me just make sure I have my full roll pulled up. All right. Commissioner Jacobson, that's me. I am present. Committee member Schaaf. I don't see committee member Schaaf, so not present. Committee member Batal.
Present.
Committee member Batal is present. Committee member Erickson Teal.
Present.
Committee member Erickson Teal is present. Committee member Wiltshire Gordon. I don't see him here tonight. You know, Katia, I've never pronounced your last name, but Katia, could you tell me how to pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes, it's Katia Papaye.
Papaye, okay.
Mhm.
Katia, our committee member Papaye is present. And then committee member Peterson, I don't see her, so not present. So that is 4 of 7 members, so we have a quorum tonight. All right, I will go ahead and share my screen. You should be seeing the agenda for the evening. So first on the agenda, we have the consent agenda, which is just the approval of the meeting minutes for last month. And then for official business, then we'll have some community announcements and presentation time, and then official business and committee updates, which will be a discussion on the Strategic Parking Enforcement Enhancement Act of 2025 again, and then discussing any budget requests that we have. In terms of the agenda, is there anything that folks would like to add to the agenda? All right, not hearing anything, so we'll just keep the agenda as is. I'll make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the consent agenda as written. Is there any dissent? All right, hearing no dissent, we've approved the consent agenda, which is approval of the March 2025 committee meeting minutes. Next up, I'll make a motion with unanimous consent that we adopt the whole agenda as written. Is there any dissent on the adoption of the agenda? All right, hearing no dissent on that either, we've adopted the agenda and we can keep going. And let me just pull up my notes really quick on some of these items. And Leah, I promoted you to panelist. I'm not sure if you saw that, but I can try again if you didn't.
Thank you. I just switched it right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Good to see you.
You as well.
So first for the, we're up to the community announcements and presentations. Does any member of the community or any member of the committee have announcements that they'd like to make?
I have an announcement to make. This is maybe broadly like a public space related announcement, but just wanted to highlight that the annual Mayor Bowser's Spring Cleanup event is coming up on April 19th. And for Ward 1, It's happening. The meetup is happening starting from the Columbia Heights Dog Park on 11th Street. And it's an event from 10 to 3. The mayor's office of the Clean City provides all of the cleanup materials so folks can just show up. And the ANC 1E group that partners with District Bridges to do monthly cleanups, and probably also Georgia Avenue Thrive. Those groups who do Parkview cleanups will all be showing up for this event. So it's open to the community and all are welcome April 19th.
Thank you for that announcement. And are you doing a separate cleanup in the month of April, or just this cleanup? Because I know you organize other cleanups too, right?
Yeah, so ours is usually on the third Thursdays, and since this one, or third Saturdays, and since this one falls during that time, we're just basically plugging into the bigger event.
Cool. Well, thank you for organizing and helping with all the cleanups. Any other announcements from committee members or members of the community? All right, seeing none, we can move on to official business. So the first item on the agenda is the Strategic Parking Enhancement Act of 2025. We had discussed this item last month around what other ideas that we had around improving parking enforcement within DC. One of the items that we had discussed was something that other universities have done in partnership with municipalities across the country, where basically, we could encourage DPW to give Howard University ticketing authority on the streets surrounding Howard. And in that case, those ticket revenues would still go to the district, but that would be a way for us to alleviate some of the stress on DPW and give Howard the ability to enforce some of the traffic safety laws around Howard in ways that they do not have currently. So that was the main thing that we had discussed last month, and I wanted to bring this up for discussion again to see if there were any other thoughts on ways that you'd like to see parking enforcement enhanced, or other things that folks wanted to chat about. And totally okay if folks don't have anything, but wanted to at least bring it up because we had discussed it last month, and it'd be good for us to consider a resolution at some point.
Is there any way to find like the actual like act? Like, is it somewhere like outlined?
Oh, yeah, let me grab that really quick. I should have shared that on my screen.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay, here's the act. It's only 2 pages. The act as currently written allows DPW to, or allows outside entities, think like, restaurants, bars, community events, things like that, would allow them to ask DPW to do special enforcement during an event. And so that would be open to any DPD officer that wants to participate in overtime work. So essentially they would be able to say, this worker for DPW wants to take some overtime, and then the entity would then pay DPW for the work that that person is doing during a special event. So this is a reimbursable detail. It's similar to what exists for MPD today. And that's the main piece that this act covers today. And so my other thought was maybe we could give some ability to Howard University to do ticketing around campus if that's something that they wanted to do.
Okay, and can you briefly just outline, I don't know if I missed it, but the ticketing and stuff, like who does that go to?
So ticketing revenues go to the city. The idea is, if there are no parking zones in an area around Howard, you can think about, I'm blanking on the cross streets, but let me just pull up a map really quick so I can remember. I think it was 6th and Fairmont, how there's a no parking zone near 6th and Fairmont because cars parked on 6th can obscure the view of the crosswalk and make using the crosswalk more dangerous and injure folks that might be using the crosswalk or potentially kill them. And so the idea is that, if people were parked illegally there, DPW might not have the resources to go to that area as frequently. But Howard PD is always in that area. And so if they wanted to ticket folks for parking illegally there, then they would have the authority to, if hypothetically this act were amended to allow that and this act was approved. And so then the revenues would still go to the city.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm still just reading over it a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, Josh, I'll just in general voice support that. I think it seems like a nice sort of partnership opportunity and good use of resources, and seems like most of the parking restrictions that I'm familiar with generally in the neighborhood and around the university um, make sense. And this is something that obviously if there's an issue with certain zone that we can always like question that specifically. But yeah, this seems like a good idea. I'd be behind putting a resolution together.
I also
Thank
agree
you.
with that.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Do folks want more time to sit with this? I doubt it's going to be taken up by the council with urgency, given that it's budget season and going through the budget is probably going to take most of the month of April. So we have another month to sit on this, I think, to think more about it. But if folks don't think that they'll think too much more about parking and parking enforcement in DC, then we could just pass a resolution tonight.
I'm okay with passing the resolution tonight.
I'm also okay with passing it tonight.
Okay. So I will make a motion that we, I'll have to work out the language later, but that we adopt a resolution that essentially says that we agree with the current terms of the bill and that we would like to see the ability or some sort of ticketing authority and partnership developed between DPW and Howard University. Obviously work with like you all on the specifics of the language if folks want to participate in that process, and you'd have to get it passed by the full ANC. But that's my motion. So I was just thinking there. So I guess clarify, motion is we support the legislation as written, and we'd also like to see a piece in the legislation around a partnership between DPW and universities on ticketing authority.
Can I second that motion? Or is that not how this works?
Yep, that's how that works. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. And any abstentions? All right, with a vote of 5-0, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Thank you. The next item is on around budget requests. So for each of the committees in the month of April, we're taking time to discuss potential budget items that we'd like to see and advocated for with the council as they work through their own budget. The main things that have been on top of my mind are making sure there's room in the budget for the Georgia Avenue bus priority lanes and the Crosstown Priority Project, which is I believe it's Columbia and Harvard. I might be misremembering, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong. So those two bus priority projects, making sure that those are going to be fully funded since they're supposed to finish up design this year and start construction next year. And those will be important transportation projects for increasing connectivity along the Georgia Avenue corridor and also increasing connectivity between wards 5 and 1 and making it a little bit easier to get to the hospital via public transportation. The other item I've been thinking about and think about frequently is the STEER Act, which has not been fully funded yet. It was a piece of legislation taken up by the council. I think it was last year, strengthening traffic enforcement, education, and responsibility. Pull this up. I think some of the members of the committee are probably familiar with this. I know at least Ali and I have spoken about it. Not sure if other folks have done research into the STEER Act, but essentially, here's the summary if folks want to read through that quickly. And this is something that I think we should be advocating to fully fund. So I'll pause here to give folks a chance to read through this. And Ali, if you want me to read it out loud, because I know you're on the phone, I'm happy to do that. Though I think you've probably read some of it before.
I'm good. I'm familiar with it, so you don't have to read it out loud.
Cool.
I'm trying to pull up Zoom right now, so hopefully I will be able to join properly shortly. But we'll see.
Does anyone need more time to read?
Me, I'm almost done. Sorry.
Okay,
Oh.
no, you're good.
Sorry.
You're good.
Okay, I finished.
Thank you. So to call out some of the specific provisions in here in case folks aren't aware, can folks still hear me? I'm worried that my headset might have switched audio inputs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. So the authorization of the Office of Attorney General, this piece did not need to be funded. The Office of Attorney General is already taking some of these civil actions against drivers, so that's good to go. And then a piece that folks might be confused by and that I've heard confusion about in the past is that current law allows the district to tow our immobilized vehicles based on the accumulation of fines rather than the accumulation of infractions. So if someone has, I don't remember the exact number today, but if someone has over a certain amount of money in unpaid fines, then their vehicle can be booted or towed. And if they speed a bunch but always pay their fines, and their vehicle could never be booted and towed under current law that's funded. But this would amend that to hold everyone accountable regardless of their ability to pay, which I think is important in terms of making sure that folks that have means aren't just able to drive recklessly and endanger other folks and not have to worry about the consequences because they have the money to pay for it. So I'd like to. Oh, thank you, Leah. Or sorry, Committee Member Peterson. Thank you. Are there any other transportation or public spaces requests that you'd like to make it into the budget, or that you want us to advocate for?
I probably need to spend. I have not spent the time to think through of what's coming up.
Totally fine.
So no for now. Is there remind me, Josh, of the time or Commissioner Jacobson of the
You're fine.
timing or any sort of like the budget process and advocating for different projects or programs.
The mayor hasn't released her budget yet, so it's kind of up in the air. But as soon as the mayor releases her budget, then the council will review the budget, and usually they don't do wholesale changes to the budget, but they'll make tweaks here and there. And so, there are provisions that can make it in depending on those tweaks. And that should be happening later this month. And then the ANC as a body will meet in 3 weeks. And so that's when we would vote on any sort of resolution. So we don't have to pass a resolution here tonight. If folks want to just take more time to think about the different budget requests that they might have, I'm happy to chat about those offline. And then, we can take it up as a full ANC too. The only difference is that any sort of resolution that's passed at the committee level, might be taken with greater weight at a full commission level, but we don't have to, the commission doesn't need to have something passed at the committee level before we pass it at the commission level. So.
Could you remind me? I'm sorry if you said this earlier and I missed it. Did you mention the um, the DPR park at the former Bruce Monroe site?
Oh, that's a good point. I did not, but that is a good one to add. And actually, Commissioner Brown was the person who gave me the idea for the bus priority projects, and I'm surprised she didn't mention the DPR park. So she probably has more insight than I do. But yeah, that's a fair request. Oh, and I see there's a hand raised. I am so sorry if I missed that. Oh, I see. I will promote the other ally to panelist. And I see Commissioner Howard joined us. I'm not sure if you wanted to join as panelist or stay in the audience, but if you want to join as panelist, you're welcome to raise your hand. All right, I'll take that as a no. Any other feedback or budget requests that folks might have? And I guess any feedback on including in the budget request, making sure the DPR park at the former Bruce Monroe site will be funded, making sure that the bus priority projects on Georgia Ave and the Crosstown priority project will be funded, and the full funding of the STEER Act.
The only other things that come to mind for me are Parkview Rec Center, though I think that it has been funded.
Yeah, it was funded last time or last budget cycle.
Okay, right. And then I feel like if there was something going on with Banneker, we would know, but I don't know if there's anything specific projects they have going on. So.
Only thing specific with Banneker is that they got rid of the diving board and they won't put it back, and the budget won't change that, unfortunately.
The diving board needs a resolution.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments about the 2 items of official business or about any other items that we haven't discussed already tonight? And totally okay if not, we can make this a short meeting. And I guess, since we have a quorum, we might as well, since we've talked about a few budget items, we can pass a resolution around that. So I'll make a motion that we pass a resolution around a few budget requests. So fully funding the STEER Act, funding the bus priority projects for Columbia Heights, Crosstown for Columbia Heights, and then the Georgia Avenue bus priority project, and the DPR park at former Bruce Monroe site. Do I have a second? Oh, sorry. That's fine. Yeah.
The 11th Street cycle project. I don't think that extends into our ward, but perhaps if that's part of the budgeting talks, like making sure that there's money set aside for that program as well. I know that I think it was last weekend or last week, Bowser did like a walk along the path where it was supposed to be, or is in theory going to be built, but maybe just making sure that that project has continuing support and access to whatever funds it may need to get it to the finish line.
That is a good idea. I will accept that to my motion for budget requests. And we'll obviously exclude that if we don't need to have a budget request around it. All right, so to recap, budget requests for DPR Park at the former Bruce Monroe site, Columbia Heights Crosstown Bus Priority Project, Georgia Avenue Bus Priority Project, STEER Act, and the 11th Street bike lane. And I make a motion around that. Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you, Committee Member Erickson Teal. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And Leah, if you meant to vote, you're on mute. All those in opposition.
Oh, aye. Apologies.
Okay, no, you're fine. All those in opposition, please signify by saying aye. And any abstentions? All right, that's with a vote of 5-0-0. We have adopted another resolution around budget requests. All right, anything else that folks want to raise? Okay, well, thank you for the two resolutions. I will be sure to take those up in front of the whole ANC committee in a few weeks. And I'm realizing that my agenda is incorrect. This is obviously Wednesday, April 2nd. Our next meeting will be on the first Wednesday in May, which should be the 7th. Yes, so I will see you all on May 7th. And if you have any other questions or comments or budget requests that come up, feel free to reach out, and I will make a final motion with unanimous consent that we adjourn for the evening. Is there any dissent? All right, meeting is adjourned at 7:33 p.m. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time and have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks all.